Hi there. I'm Smita Murthy, Managing Partner at Opencliff Partners. We're a product advisory and consulting firm. As a woman who has spent over 25 years in tech product and leadership roles in corporate, I have crossed paths with inspiring women who walk the talk, have an abundance mindset, and have helped shape my career journey. My hope is through my actions while in corporate roles and now in this chapter of my professional life, that I give back and pay it forward. There's plenty of research that shows women don't have enough women role models to look up to learn from, and to emulate. And very few women leaders who break the glass ceiling, be it in corporate, entrepreneurial, or other arenas, actually support other women in terms of being a champion, a sponsor, or an advocate to other women. And worse, see them as competition. The inspiration for this podcast series is to showcase women in tech, product, and leadership who inspire, who actually help, and are positive influences to those who have the good fortune to be in their orbits, lifting as they climb. Today, I'm beyond excited to host my friend and ex-colleague, Amy Andersen. Amy is a senior healthcare executive and innovator with over 25 years of experience in healthcare strategy, innovation, and commercial growth. She has held leadership roles in global organizations like Oracle, where we met, Philips Healthcare, and IBM, driving strategic growth, partnerships, and market development in healthcare and life sciences. She has extensive experience across healthcare commercial and public sectors and led strategy, policy, and partnership portfolios for organizations including Kaiser Permanente and Stanford University School of Medicine's Clinical Excellence Research Center. Amy is the founder of Cultivate Health Advisors, a consulting firm that provides strategic guidance to payers, providers, startups, and venture capital firms. Amy, I am so excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being on.
It's such a pleasure. Always, Smita.
Awesome. So I have so many great things to say about you. I've enjoyed working with you when we worked together at Oracle. And we've had the good fortune of staying in touch and being each other's support system, as it were. So I'm so happy to have you on here. And I call you, my nickname for you is the Master Connector.
Oh,
You have so many connections, and you're so generous with connecting the good people to good people. It's a gift, and I'm very thankful that you've done that for me. So appreciate that very much.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, so let's just dive right into the meat of the podcast. So we all have people who we look up to, who inspire and shape our journeys. Tell me about a role model that has inspired you in your career and why.
Well, I'll tell you, it goes back to Kaiser Permanente, actually. I had the great fortune of working for a physician, a leader, a strategist, Dr. Sharon Levine. And she was, I think, the best boss, the hardest boss, but also really allowed me to grow and to have agency in the role. So I was interviewing for this role, and I was told by my predecessor, who was leaving, how high Dr. Levine's standards were, right? And that she was known to scare people. People were afraid of her. And so I thought, okay, let's see how this goes. And it was just so fascinating because I immediately, even in that interview, saw someone who wasn't scary to me. She was exacting. She knew what her vision was. And over time, I worked for her for over a decade.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
In the same role. So here's the thing. If you can find a leader, and this is what I always say to younger people coming up in the industry, or, people who are, established. If you're seeking a move, don't look at the job, right? Or how it's defined. Who is that leader from whom you can learn, who is going to see in you something of your potential, right? And so what I found throughout those 10 years is, Dr. Levine saw my talents and expertise, but she also saw my ability to lead on my own, right? So I had, even though I had the same job, I had so many different jobs. I was allowed to, take on, new strategic objectives. I was leading strategy and government relations for the Permanente Medical Group in California, right?
Oh, wow.
All right. So it's policy, it's legislation, it's all of the engagement with organized medicine, like the AMA, the California Medical Association, specialty organizations, et cetera, right? And so, she allowed me to create a pipeline of physician leaders to be involved in those associations and to be thought leaders for articulating the integrated model of care, the value-based model of care, focus on prevention, clinical leadership. And that's not what these folks went to med school for, right?
Yeah.
So I created a whole program to identify leaders, get them into media training, help them understand when they're going to the legislature, what is the role in providing testimony, setting up speakers bureaus, getting them involved. And it's so hilarious because I want to say like 3 months ago, I saw on LinkedIn a message, a post by the current president of the California Medical Association, Dr. Shannon Udovic Constant. And I reached out to her and I said, remember when I came to you and said, you need to get involved in CMA? And you said, well, I don't have time for it. And now she's the president. And so it was just really fun. So I got to do stuff like that. I set up a political action committee for the clinicians so that we were able to make financial donations or contributions to elected officials and candidates, which is something we'd never done, right? And I really had fun too. So if you can find someone who sees in you potential and will allow you to maybe do things out of the ordinary, it's phenomenal, right?
What a lovely,
Anyway,
example.
So I look at that experience as phenomenal. And I guess I try to do that too. I've led big, groups within tech and, and also working in startups. And I know what I'm good at. I also know what I'm not good at. And I always start those conversations with a new team, or I'm putting together a new team from other, part of a reorg, which we're very familiar with from our time at Oracle.
Yes.
And look, I mean, there's power in diversity of expertise and opinions. And I always say, look, I can help articulate where we want to go and focus on that mission, but I am not going to dictate how. That's your brilliance. Like, we're going to figure it out together. And I think is that a female trait? It should be, because in my experience, working with awesome female leaders, the best ones come to their work and inspiring their teams with a sense of inquiry and collaboration. And so that's what I look for when, I'm assessing, is this a company I want to, maybe do a fractional thing with, or take on an engagement
Yeah, yeah, it's very, very sound advice. And I'm thrilled for you that you had such an amazing female role model to look up to, because not everyone's that lucky.
Mm.
And I think you're absolutely right. When you find those gems, as it were, those rare female leaders who are very inclusive, very the collaboration and lifting as you climb kind of almost innately is feminine. It's kind of what we do in our lives, but
Right.
somehow gets lost when it comes to work for many
That's
people. and
that's true.
and those that are true authentic leaders like the one that you had, they just bring their authentic self and they're authentic leaders, and all of that carries forward into their professional lives. So amazing, amazing. So what are some leadership lessons that you've learned from your experience as a woman in healthcare and leadership that you'd like to share with our audience?
In healthcare, right? Most of us have been, I mean, I've only been in healthcare my entire career, right? That's it. And I was drawn to working in healthcare because um, I had a personal mission. I started in Washington, D.C. as a lobbyist and a policy analyst, primarily focused on solving the challenges of access. Now, I
Mm,
worked on numerous health reform initiatives. At the time, there were quite a few bipartisan health reform initiatives. I also became a Medicaid expert. I worked in the HIV/AIDS space. So for me, my personal purpose and mission has always been an understanding that in this country, we spend way too much per capita on healthcare, right?
absolutely.
That is all. The big drivers are inefficiencies, right? We spend too much and we don't get a commensurate benefit in
Mhm.
terms of individual or community health outcomes. So it makes
Yep.
no sense to me.
Yep.
Um, my personal belief was if we could do a better job on how we deliver and pay for healthcare, that will enable resources um, to expand access, right? So that's always been my primary purpose.
Mhm.
Um, Question. What was the question again? Can we just pause
So
for a second?
leadership lessons, but I
Okay.
think, yeah, leadership lessons that you'd like to share. But I think you are sharing that because what you're
You can edit
sharing
this. Right.
is what needs
You
to
can
happen
edit
in
it.
healthcare. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let me just pause. So for me, that personal mission has always been paramount to me and personal, right? So the way that I have uh, enacted that mission through various careers is, and this has been told to me when I was leading a transformational consulting practice for healthcare payer and providers at IBM. I was constantly out there trying to sell consulting services and enable the technology sales teams to grow, right, revenue. And I did that primarily as a thought leader, engaging with the C-suite at healthcare provider and payer organizations, right? That those were the buyers of the consulting services and ultimately the technology that IBM was leading. Now, I got this feedback from the customers as well as sales. You're so authentic, right? But I would get like, you're so authentic in how you talk about what we can do to help solve their problems or enable their ambitions, right? With our technology or consulting services. And for me, um, it's that authenticity that allows you to not only lead in that sale, but also to lead teams because people
Yeah,
respond to that. They, you
absolutely.
know, I often tell a story of why I'm in healthcare, right? And so many of us have personal stories. For me, it was, as I mentioned earlier, like really living and breathing in that space of all the people that I lost in my lives from HIV/AIDS, right? And then later, being my sister's advocate during her 7.5-year fight after a stage 4 ovarian diagnosis. And I think if you can incorporate into your professional persona your authenticity, it's
Yeah,
magic because you're
absolutely.
able to then break through and connect with other people's personal
Yeah,
um, ambitions and desires. So, I'm always like, what you see is what you get. And I try to, um, through my leadership, really connect with people on a personal level. And that's not always how these conversations start, but you have a chance to set the tone. And
yeah,
nobody wants to walk into a room with a bunch of IBM folks and just have them start talking about technology,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, it's what are we
Sure.
trying to do and who are we? So you can establish a personal connection through that purpose, and it
Mhm.
builds trust and
Yes,
respect.
yes,
Um, and it's not, in your face, you're trying to sell me something. No, you're trying to help them solve a problem. Again, going back to that collaborative
yeah,
approach. So I think authenticity is the best, you know, leadership lesson, and you can't fake it.
yeah.
You cannot.
No,
And that there are a lot of leaders, you and I both know, who are not able to tap into that authenticity. And
yeah,
it's like when someone's playing the piano and they hit a flat note. It's
yeah,
obvious.
yeah,
So I think that's a great lesson. And you just have to figure out what is your purpose and why are you in this field, and what's your passion. And it's a I think it's a comfortable way to operate in a professional world. Um, so many times I talk to young, people in their career, and they try, ask questions about what should my personal or what should my professional persona be?
hmm
Because I'm like, you got to figure out what's your voice, like what's your voice, and how
hmm
can you maintain your voice in that professional environment.
hmm hmm absolutely. And how do you stay true to that? Because there'll be so many forces that are
Totally.
trying to veer you off that true path.
Or
Um,
silence or
yeah,
silence you.
absolutely.
I think, having you as a collaborator has been very meaningful to me.
Oh,
And it's
thank you.
another
Same.
lesson that I give to colleagues and mentees, because so often people think, well, if I want to, advance in this company, what do I need to do? And my advice is always put your head up,
Mm,
constantly scan. If you're working in a team, who else is in the organization? Are there opportunities for you to collaborate in a matrixed way? Or maybe there's an opportunity for you to jump over to another team, right? But also to have that externally. And so it's the network that's so important. Um, and it's, I think it's very critical now to have that strong network,
yeah.
one, in order to help you maintain your connection to that authenticity, because as you said, the pressures are really hard. And what I'm concerned about is number two, which is you may need to have a plan B,
hmm
right? And so who's in your network who's going to be looking out for you,
Yeah.
maybe tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, we got a role here. Love for you to, have a conversation about it.
Yes.
Because, I mean, we're in a very difficult time right now, politically,
Yeah.
policy-wise, and the economy. And when you see the, stock prices go down, we know what corporate America does in those
Yep.
situations.
Yep.
They start looking at layoffs. So
Yep.
you may be doing an amazing job, right? Personally,
Yep.
delivering value. But there are decisions that are made that may pull the rug out from under you. So we always have to have our plan B, C, and D. And
Yeah.
I think the network you know, is so
Uh,
important because you said I'm a master connector. I'm a connector because it's not transactional for me.
yeah.
Um, I have always enjoyed connecting great people to great people. Yes. With an understanding that they'll pay it forward. It'll pay forward for me at some point, right? Because you're building a trusted network of people.
Yeah.
And if you can connect them with great people, then boy, when you come and reach out to them for a request or, trying to sell something, it's a much different conversation because they know and trust you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there, right there, is the masterclass in how networking is supposed to be. So it's not icky, right?
Yes.
It's like, what can you give before you take and before you ask? So amazing, Amy. I love it. All right. A very important question. This is, how have you used your success to help other women in their careers? And how do you do that while maintaining boundaries so people don't take advantage of you?
I've been really lucky that I don't feel like I've been taken advantage of. And weirdly, I think when you're open to being a mentor or a connector to people, the funniest thing happens. You have an opportunity to make dear friends. And I had this experience. We both know Dr. Michelle Flemings, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Michelle and I were recently at a conference, the Vive conference,
Yeah.
and we were both advising a startup, right? And so we were there with one of the co-founders, a physician, and he's awesome. But he had never really been to a conference like this, right? And we blew his mind because he said, literally, people would run across the convention hall to Michelle and to me and like hug us. And he said, he was telling the chairman of the board, he's like, everyone knows them and they love them and they're friends, right? So it was such an interesting thing. And I thought, that's right. I really have been able to develop an incredible like support group, colleagues. And I think that's it is kind of unusual when you think about it.
Yeah. But
What
but
was
but that's your power. That's
Yeah.
your power. It's your authenticity.
So to say to be taken, I haven't been taken advantage of. I mean, there have been a few times when you recommend someone and they kind of fall on their face, but
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah.
And but I feel like if you truly have that kind of ability to be open and helpful, it really does pay off. And anyway, you never know where someone's going to land either. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
So besides, so I know you help connect good people to good people. That's how you've helped others. Um, are there other things that you do specifically in terms of helping women in their careers? Any other examples you wish to share?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like, it's funny. You never know what something's going to turn into. That's what I would say is you need to be open. And so that act of connecting someone to someone, right? It actually can open up other doors that you
Yeah.
didn't even think about. So I'll give you an example. I had the benefit of meeting a woman who was advising a startup that I was interested in exploring as a potential partner or maybe acquisition when I
Mhm.
was at Oracle. And I
Mhm.
did this a lot, because as you know, as a product guru, um, we always need to look at, are there innovators that are
Absolutely.
doing the thing that's on our product roadmap? And by partnering with them, could we accelerate it's the build or buy, right? Could
Yep.
we accelerate our product roadmap? And so, plus, it also allows me to get to know what's really happening on the innovation side. So I met
Yep.
this woman, crazy smart, serial founder in healthcare.
Wow.
Um, and we became called, kind of collaborators and now personal friends.
Wow.
And she called me. She was working on some stuff that I didn't know what was going on. And then she called me and she said, I need some advice. I've got this startup. I want to pick your brain.
Mhm.
I'd love for you to be kind of an informal advisor. I'm like, hey, anything for you. Right. It was so amazing. So, I just started talking to her. I was like, no money's changing hands, right? It's just the friend circle.
Yeah.
And she has killed it. And they're actually making, they have commercial revenue. They're moving into a sort of a growth path, and they're now looking at seed funding, right? So I've
Fantastic.
been kind of keeping abreast what was going on. And she she told me about the seed round. And I said, hey, I just met these two women, both of whom started their own venture funds, right?
Mm.
Women led and founded venture funds. And I
Awesome.
said, I think what you're doing may actually be part of their funding
In that.
thesis.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me introduce you. So I did. And
Yeah.
now they're both going to participate in this round. So you
Fantastic.
never know what's going to happen. But
Yeah.
I I love like finding, I mean, it was really just because of my belief in her as a
Yeah.
founder. And then I met these other women and I said, let's put you together. And there you go. And it's,
Yep. That's you, Amy. That's just you. That's that magic that you need to bottle up. Uh, but you share it generously. Thank you for that. All right. So please give us your favorite life lesson quote and how that's been relevant for you.
oh, okay. Well, this is an easy one. This comes from my mother.
Okay.
And backstory, my mother had kind of a hard life. Um, she was not allowed to go to college for a variety of reasons. Um, she was kind of not really supported in her marriage, and she wanted out. But she also knew she had to be able to support her children. So she embarked on a years long, like multi-year long kind of strategy. I didn't know this was happening because I was in elementary school. And she started a company, and then she started another one. And then
Wow.
she got, a corporate job. She was in the convention and meetings industry. And she became a personage, right? And my inspiration, because I saw her. I saw how she led, not having the benefit, right, of an
Yep.
education, always focused on my education big time. So, I was a bleeding heart kind of do-gooder after grad school, and, you know, working in policy and trying to, do good and all this kind of stuff. And my mom was a corporate lady, right? Deal maker. And she said to me, sweetie, you can do good and do well.
Hmm. That is
And
awesome.
so it's interesting, like over time, to where I am now, I think about that all the time because that is when I look at, working with a startup, I have to know that this is not just selling a widget, that it's
Yeah.
actually aligned to my mission. And
Yep.
And guess what? You can do good and you can do well by it. And so
Absolutely.
it's my mom,
Oh, I love
really.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's actually interesting because so many times our own parents or our grandparents become inspiration for like that early leadership lessons you see in that informal home setting is so defining for who
It
we
is.
become.
It's true.
Um, I
Yeah.
I'd actually been on a leadership retreat, offsite, whatever, where they had us actually dig deep and say, what has shaped your leadership journey? And it actually surprised me because I'd never spent the time to think about it. It was my paternal grandmother, my own mom, and then all the men in my family who are pro women, who are so supportive. Um, it just kind of like blew my mind that, there were all these things in my head from childhood that I never
Right.
actually put a pin on it and said, oh, this is what's defined how I am today. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And it's
amazing.
it, and it's
Do good
generally
and do
when
it.
you have stories like that, it's grit, determination,
Yeah.
and someone who believes in you.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, I love that. You can do good and do well. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Any book recommendations you have that has helped you, be your authentic self, Amy?
Oh my God. I'm gonna have a pause here for a sec.
Sure.
Okay.
Or you
Books.
can you can pick any book. It doesn't matter if it's for whatever book that you're reading that you'd like to share.
Oh my God. Yeah, I gotta tell you, I read like novels, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, that's my guilty pleasure too. Absolutely. It's so much easier than reading business books.
Well, I love the classics.
Okay.
So Howard's End is a big
Mm,
favorite.
okay.
And one of the key kind of quotes out of that is always connect.
It was written for you.
There, it is actually. No, I mean, I love Ian Forster, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book, and I read that probably once a year.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, there you go, folks. This was your masterclass in networking, being an authentic leader, finding inspiration all the way from childhood, and carrying that mission. Like this is what the whole Japanese theme of ikigai is. It's like finding your purpose in life.
Yeah,
And you found that early, and you've stayed true to that throughout your amazing career, and you're staying true to that even at this point in your career. So kudos to you, Amy. You're a shining beacon in my life. I'm so happy to know you when we worked together, and now after we both left Oracle,
yeah,
and to continue our partnership and our friendship. Most
yeah.
importantly, I'm really
Oh,
grateful to have you
thank
in my
you.
orbit. Um, and thank you to the audience. I hope you've got some great nuggets from Amy here. Thank you so much for being on the show, Amy. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, it was such a pleasure, and I still remember the first time we met one another. We hadn't worked together at Oracle, and I was at this meeting with you, and I'm like, "Who is that woman? I must know her."
Oh,
It was
I
right.
remember it was in California, right? Oh, where did we meet? It was a customer visit. I remember you
Oh, no, no,
enabled
no.
it.
Texas.
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 That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I'm like,
I
who
was
is this
there. Yeah.
fabulous woman? It was the
Oh,
best decision I ever made. Just
oh, thank you. Thank you. The feeling's mutual. Thank you. Appreciate it so much.
thank you.